Alright, welcome to the stream here, folks. Is that the okay, yeah, the mic is working. Cool. Um this is Bad at Fighting Games presents One Punch Combo, a fighting game podcast, episode 7. Sony buys EVO. I'm Raisin B Man, a guy who is I don't know, I try and come up with a unique one for all of these. Whose apartment is pretty cool. Let's go with that. I've redecorated. You can sort of see. You might be able to see too much, but I'm really conflicted. I know why some of the streamers they do the green screen, like if they have other people in their house and everything. But I kind of got my posters, and I want to show off my posters. And a lot of times, if you're a streamer anyway, you've got swag in the back of your room, house, wherever you're streaming, and you probably want to show it off. So that's why I'm conflicted by the green screen stuff. So I don't even know if I would want to set that up. It seems kind of weird, you know. I mean, if you did something crazy, like you set up like your crazy VTuber setup, so instead of you, it was like you as a Super Saiyan, then that would be one thing. But anyway, if you want to chat while the podcast is being streamed, you can join me live on Twitch at RaisinBman. Let's get into a quick ad here, and we're going to go over some rigmarole. As always, thanks for tuning in, folks. This is One Punch Combo, a fighting game podcast. We go over news and tournaments. Actually, let's make sure stream markers work. Stream markers do work. Cool. But we go over fighting games, both news and tournaments, and sometimes the news is a little bit lighter, and this weekend is definitely heavier. If you see the title line there that Sony buys EVO, I mean that's huge. Anyway, this is a monthly show. It's the first Saturday of every month, and we also have another show under this brand, which is filler episode, an anime and manga podcast, where we talk about anime and manga news, and also do anime reviews when I get the chance. Hopefully, you can get some manga reviews in there eventually. That is a weekly show, but as always, thanks for tuning in. And you have an you have a Twitch gaming subscription free through Amazon Prime. They don't remind you of it, and that could be going to a Kinda Funny, could be going to a Giant Bomb, could be going to me. Actually, there's a lot of really good Magic the Gathering streamers that could be going to too. But anyway, if you want to just remember, you've got to use that. Amazon's not going to remind you, and that could be going to me if you so choose. Did have somebody do it either last month or the month before last. So that was cool because that was my first one. I really haven't had that much stream engagement in a long time, but I really haven't been streaming. I'm barely streaming now, so it makes sense. Thanks for tuning in. I think I see Lurks and Rummist who still here from the last stream, unless I know sometimes Twitch is kind of buggy in terms of who's actually watching the stream or not. For instance, it says I have one viewer, but it says there are 2 viewers in the chat. But that's enough preamble there. Let's get into the news, because there is a lot. So I will probably be taking a break to drink some of this carbonated water here, and maybe put in another ad. But let's get into it. We start off with the Jinx. That's Jinx with a G. .tv article. Smash Pro Zero in hospital after attempting to take his own life. According to a social media post by his girlfriend Vanessa, Zero attempted to take his own life on this past 23rd of March. So kind of a heavy note to start out on, but the interesting thing, I don't know much about Smash, but I know he had retired. I know a lot of people that'll temporarily retire, but even in this article it says former Smash Pro. So Zero, best player in the world for Smash during the Wii U era, transitioned into content creation following his retirement from full-time competition prior to the release of Smash Ultimate. establishing himself as one of the most popular streamers. Oh yeah, and this was something that I was thinking about mentioning, but they go into it anyway in the article here. That Smash had that big set of sexual accusations and misconduct and all sorts of nastiness. And I wasn't sure if he was involved or not, but the article does in fact say he sent sexual content to a minor via Skype messages. Zero would permanently be banned from Twitch, and his sponsor Temple Storm dropped him while providing counseling and professional support during his rehabilitation process. I mean, the article stops there, and unfortunately, it doesn't really seem like we don't know if he went to this counseling / professional support. But obviously, I mean, I don't sympathize with people who are doing that sort of thing, but that would be absolutely devastating. I'm the best Smash player in the world. I made a mistake. I get absolutely guillotined because not only am I not sponsored anymore, but I'm banned off Twitch and I am, damaged goods. Still had a girlfriend though, so there's that. But yeah, so that sucks. I don't really see any more context there. So maybe we'll find out in the future some more on why he attempted suicide and stuff like that. But moving on, we have another Jinx.tv story. Nairo announces return to streaming via Twitch amid YouTube ban. And so, unfortunately, we are still on the topic of sexual allegations and stuff in the Smash community. And I think we're going to be covering this later, but Sony, at least, I think with EVO, is coming up with some new guidelines, which hopefully, as we'll get into when we discuss the EVO story, they really needed to clean up some of this stuff. Yeah, so it looks like Nairo was not allowed to come back to Twitch. So he was unbanned by Smash tournament organizers like 2GG. Twitch has yet to respond to his appeal. Yeah, so little bit of background on this one. They did come to a quote unquote legal agreement. The accuser, Captain Zach, and the accusee, I guess you would say, Nairo, came to a legal agreement. So as far as we know, that's over. And we did go into that in a previous show. And I mean, again, a lot like with the first story, I don't know the details, the outcome, who's guilty, who's not guilty. So again, and especially, number one, because I am not in the Smash community, that is going to be something you're going to have to pursue for yourself if you're looking for that sort of thing. But moving on, Jinx.tv. TSM Leffen reveals broken hand will require surgery. Let's see. So I'm mostly curious how in the world he broke his hand. I mean, I would understand stress, repetition, and injuries and stuff like that. So we don't really know. Yeah, we don't really know. But anyway, he broke his hand somehow. So that sucks. Another pretty big news item here. Melty Blood. This is a Jinx.tv story. Melty Blood, there is a subtitle here. Melty Blood type Lumina is getting this is a new release, and most importantly, it has rollback netcode. I don't know too much about the series, but I will definitely put that out there. So I was looking for more because it said release date, but then it said there's no release date. But so there is an interesting note here, even though rollback is confirmed. ArcSys is French Bread's primary publisher, so hopefully that means the rollback is going to be really, really quality. Um, but on the Coffee and Combos podcast, they were talking about how these sprites were really, really good and enhanced. So maybe something to look forward to in the future. Let's see. Another Jinx.tv article. Tekken 7 got updated to version 4.1, and new character Lydia Sobieska joined the roster. She is the Polish prime minister who wants revenge on, and who doesn't in this universe, wants revenge on the Mishimas. There's also an Island Paradise stage. And the sort of the character rollout, the promo for this character was kind of ridiculous. They teaser, of course, and then Bandai Namco sent out special character packages. But moving on, our next news item, Jinx.tv tells us that Terry Bogard joined the King of Fighters 15 roster. No surprise there, although he has really been getting around in terms of crossing over with other fighting game franchises, from Smash to Fighting EX Layer. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is now available for Dragon Ball FighterZ Season Pass 3 owners. That's Jinx.tv. That was a little while ago. Pyrrha and Mithra released, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, another Jinx.tv article. Guilty Gear Strive delayed until June 11th. This one is another kind of strange one where Guilty Gear Strive, we had the beta. Apparently the beta, at least in Arc System Works' eyes, did not go well, because the main criticism, from what I could tell, was that the lobbies were crappy, and I talked about this on a previous podcast, but just to give you the short version of that, what we like from Arc System Works and their games, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball FighterZ, very, very beautiful, whether it's sprite work or just graphically. And then you have this lobby, and the Guilty Gear Strive lobby looks really bad. Like, if they're going to give us sprites in this 2D lobby, make it a throwback, make it look like Guilty Gear XX. And I know that would take some work, but if you really want to do this lobby with this weird stuff, do that. I mean, when it comes down to it, it doesn't need a lobby, period. We just care about rollback netcode and getting into matches and the menu not being stupid and stuff like that. But apparently the reason this delay is because there were connection problems, and they were unsatisfied with the game how it was. And you might think that it's also to, as I was talking about, fix this lobby stuff, but apparently not. I mean, they still could pull it off. It went from what, April to June, so that is some time. So even if they can't fix it on launch, uh, the lobbies, I imagine they can do something. And also, the lobby thing is compounded by, and I don't know where this came from, but instead of having matchmaking, they want people to be on different floors. I guess this is some convoluted way to say we don't want people to think about ranks and think they're in a lower class than somebody, but by stratifying the floors, you're still doing that. I mean, you know, you're not going to see Wake Up Super Johnny facing I don't even know who plays Guilty Gear, but let's just say Maximilian at EVO on you know, the front page, uh, and I mean, I forget exactly what I was listening to, but you do have to appeal to the lowest common denominator, the average player and stuff. But I don't think anybody really had a problem with matchmaking in fighting games. But you do see this thing from Arc System Works where they're continually trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator. Like in Dragon Ball Fighters, you had one button combos, and I don't know a ton about Grand Blue, but apparently that's very beginner friendly, and I think you can do sort of smash moves, and they're on cooldown instead of doing actual moves with shortcuts and things like that. So maybe this is part of that, but you know, that sucks. I mean, obviously, you should release it when it's ready because you do not want to be a cyberpunk in today's video game world. But it sort of seems like. Actually, now I'm thinking about it again, referencing Coffee and Combos. You should, if you watch this or listen to this, you should be watching, well, listening to that. They only do a audio. They're a proper podcast, but they had sort of mentioned that apparently the two characters that weren't in the beta, Aino and Anjimito, we've seen trailers of them, but they aren't even complete. So this timeline doesn't really make sense with them hypothetically releasing in April, but they knew these characters weren't complete, and then they had issues with the servers and lag. So, I mean, I definitely think we can trust Arc System Works to do right. A lot of different companies are doing pretty good in fighting games right now. The exception seems to be Capcom, but it is kind of worrying. But overall, in game development, it's been described as everything's on fire until it's not, and that could be until the game ships. So there you go. Another Jinx.tv article: Pyrrha and Mithra are among the best fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So the trend of DLC fighters in that game, and kind of in general being good, is continuing. Trying to see if I can find anything pretty substantive in this article. So you've got pros like Mars and Mr. Danish really honing in on her edge guarding. And it sounds like it goes back to the old days of Zelda and Sheik being one character. Okay, that was just interesting. We do have some tier lists to go through in this show, but I always find that sort of thing interesting. Um, um, right. So, our biggest news story, no question. I mean, this is definitely going to be the title. Another one brought to us by Jinx.tv. EVO has been acquired by PlayStation and will return in August 2021, virtually. Um, let's see. So there's also another partner company called RTS, which is very confusing if you actually play RTSs. But anyway, um, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, again, going into unfortunate sexual illegalities, EVO Online was canceled last year. Co-founder Joey Quillar, also known as Mr. Wizard, he was booted out of the company, and obviously they needed some PR to fix themselves, a lot like E3. But of course, coronavirus happened, so that may have been a saving grace for them in a way. Tony and Tom Cannon are still closely involved, and EVO return uh, from the 6th to the 8th of August to 13th to 15th. And so you do have a little bit of strange things here, like players only from North America, Asia, Europe, and Latin America. And the game lineup, you have Guilty Gear Strive, Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5, Champion Edition, and Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. And so, sort of the immediate problem there is EVO Online, for as flawed as it was, they had pivoted from EVO 2020, which would have been in person, and they pivoted from games that were not good online to games that were good online. I think some of them were Them's Fighting Herds. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but ones that actually perform well online, because Street Fighter 5, I believe Mortal Kombat Ultimate, but I'm not as familiar with that one. Both have had issues in terms of online performance. Tekken 7, I know, has had some improvements, and we don't even know how Guilty Gear Strive will perform. And I don't remember if they have committed to roll back in Guilty. Well, no, they did commit to roll back in Guilty Gear Strive, because I told myself I was going to buy it. I'm still waiting to buy it. But they were, as we sort of discussed earlier, they were having some server issues, some lag. So it is a little bit worrying that you've got games that are not necessarily known for their online performance, but of course they are known. Some of you might have conspiracy theories, known for their being on Sony platforms. That being said, another strange thing here is that Smash is not going to be there. But of course, doing an online Smash event is, again, that's a big, huge problem. Because it doesn't perform well online. Supposedly, Nintendo's still using online framework from back in the Wii days or something like that. I don't imagine that they haven't upgraded to the technology, but they may just not have upgraded their actual infrastructure or the whole system or something like that. And I could see that as being very plausible. Okay, I do think we have more EVO news to discuss, but that's definitely our biggest news item there. And let's see, probably one of the most exciting, even beyond the stuff with EVO. There were a lot of people who were, even before the sexual stuff that happened, there were some people who just saw EVO as a dying breed. And people were talking about how they preferred CEO and Combo Breaker because at EVO there was some really weird stuff going on, like people were being told not to cheer too loudly, and to present better, because there's always been this tension between esports, which the fighting game community in particular sees as clean cut and very professional and restrictive, whereas the fighting game community, the FGC, is sort of grassroots and they do things their way and don't really want to be controlled or made to follow certain rules. And they've operated how they've operated for a period of time. Let's see. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Smash Pro Salem regrets role in Captain Zack and Nairo's relationship. I made a huge mistake. That's brought to us by Jinx.tv. So basically, the gist here is that this guy did not realize that this guy did not realize that Nairo was an adult. Again, not touching that with a 10-foot pole, but there you go. People seem pretty excited about Lydia, the new Tekken character, both from a fan art standpoint to a gameplay standpoint, as this Jinx article goes into. Sonic Fox switches USA flag for a trans flag at WUFL, brought to us by Jinx.tv, which I totally do not blame them for, because I want to switch out my USA flag too, which is why I'm becoming an international teacher. And our next news item, Twitch bans Smash Melee player Mango for sexual content. So, we think we're done with this, but Smash community keeps it coming. I mean, especially if I'm streaming Smash, I would be super duper careful about sexual stuff. Users have found a clip of the moment with Mango utilizing a figurine in a suggestive manner while accompanied by Lucky. They do bring up the fact that basically you get cam girls, titty streamers, whatever you want to call them, and sort of just this weird double standard of where Twitch wants to invite people who and you're not supposed to say the word. The word starts with the S and ends with the P. It rhymes with shrimp. Well, it doesn't rhyme, but you're not supposed to say that word. You attract that crowd, and that's why I'm always kind of amazed when I'm watching kind of funny content and you're not supposed to bare your chest. Yet that has happened a number of times. I imagine the audience is cool with it. If somebody were to actually snitch and say, hey, this guy is topless, then it'll be different. But anyway, So yeah, that is unfortunate, but you have to be careful. I mean, especially in the subset of Twitch uh, Smash community. So Jinx.tv has an interesting article for us um, with Esport Boxing Club. I normally would not bring up something like this because uh, sports games, and I say sports including boxing or UFC, is not a fighting game, but they specifically call this Esport Boxing Club. Um, and this game sounds super duper expensive, and I'm not really sure how they got away with this because I'm sure EA has the license tied up, but they're looking to do former greats, current greats, coaches, real world gyms, trainers, cutmen. Very, very expensive sounding. It's being developed in partnership with the IBF, the WBC, and the Ring Magazine. Stated aim is to be their most realistic boxing game ever, which further pushes it out of fighting game content. So yeah, bring us back to what you might be asking yourself: why did I even bring this up? But it has a multiplayer mode and a I guess this is a virtual belt, an EWBC belt. There's an annual tournament which will crown the EWBC champion. So there you go. I mean, if you were looking to be a esports pro at boxing, there you go. Uh, moving on, dot esports, that's dot spelled out .com, brings us a story. Panda signs Wadi to its Super Smash Bros. Roster. In that same note, .esports tells us Golden Guardians adds Super Smash Bros. Melee figures PPMD, Toph, and Nun, and announces a 50,000 grassroots fund. So I'm mostly curious about this grassroots fund. Can't concentrate with this ad. Okay, the fund commit $500,000 to tournament organizers across the U.S. This is specifically for Smash, so that kind of sucks. They're planning to host additional events and under its own branding, so that's exciting for Smash folks, I suppose. Rivals of Aether reveals new projects, updates, and launches. Aether Studios. Still parsing here. Okay, so there is actual fighting game news here. Rivals of Rivals Workshop character pack will be launching later this year and bring 4 new fighters into the game officials roster. From the community created characters available on Steam Workshop. hopefully they got that sorted out, because I remember that not working out with Skullgirls. And so this is Olympia, a buff mouse chick. Think Makoto from Street Fighter. You have Palm, which is French for something I can't remember right now. Palm is I don't know, a sexy mouse, and sexy mouse is in quotes. I'm not really going to explain that further. Hodan is, I don't know, it's some sort of monkey or a yeti, and Malo, which is not Spanish for bad, but with two L's, is a lizard who has a bomb belt and is dressed like a bandit. So I'm sure that's revving someone's engine. You know, you have some. Actually, that might not even be a mouse girl, but anyway, you've got some anthropomorphic stuff that's really, you know, what the kids are into nowadays. So, We Play Ultimate Fighting League is proving to be a positive impact on the fighting game community. That's brought to us by .esports. So this is Mortal Kombat related mostly. We Play Esports is launching an entire dedicated portion to the company to run fighting game tournaments in partnership with Ukrainian Olympic heavyweight boxing champion Alexander Usyk, which marked the birth of the We Play Ultimate Fighting League. Season 1 is continuing to build momentum for the Mortal Kombat community, also lending a hand to Soul Calibur 6 and Tekken 7. The entire event is broadcast from We Play Sports Arena, Kyiv. $50,000 for each game prize. Going to be streamed on Twitch. Yeah, so that's a positive. We got King announced for King of Fighters 15. That's brought to us by .esports. Street Fighter 5 is having a spring showcase set for April 6th, sharing details about Rose and Oro. .esports again. Melty Blood Type Lumina is going to release in 2021. Brought to us by .esports. Yashiro Nanakase makes his return in King of Fighters 15. Brought to us by .esports. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was updated to version 11.01. That's .esports. Team Ninja Fumihiko Yasuda says the team is waiting for an invitation for Ryu Hayabusa to join Smash. They don't really need to do that because that series has been downhill. Kirby themed Dreamland tournament coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That article and the last one were .esports articles. Pew Pew U stepping away from competitive Smash Bros. Melee, moving to new role within the CLG. That's .esports. .esports again with Yuri Sakazaki coming to King of Fighters 15. And this one just sort of interesting. .esports tells us every Xenoblade Chronicles 2 song coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And so I believe this is done by Ace Plus. and the songs are actually very, very good. Um, bu- 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 uh, so I would recommend those. Doesn't say who the artist is, but I believe it's Ace Plus. Who, if you've ever went over to Super Darky's, he has a music video game channel, or they have rather. There's a lot of that on there. Ace Plus. Um, Harada says esports is only a buzzword, while the father of PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi, claims online events will soon be better than offline. This is an Event Hub story. So this is interesting because, and I think we'll get into this a little bit further, but Harada is hosting a little show or stream. I'm not sure which one, but and Ken Kutaragi, who is very important, was very important in PlayStation. I think he's retired now, but yeah. So it's interesting to hear. Of course, in the fighting game community, there's been plenty of skepticism against esports, and really, especially with the COVID, with the quarantine, we haven't been able to do much in that category. And even there was a lot of skepticism on the part of EVO last year before COVID took place, fully took place, rather. And the other thing to remember is that when Kutaragi, he's saying that online events will be better than offline, a lot of that is infrastructure. Google Stadia was not very good. America has a serious problem, in particular with infrastructure, online infrastructure, people having access to the internet. So online isn't really going to be appropriate there. Definitely if you go to some place like Japan where they've got ridiculous setups, or certain places in America where you can do Google Fiber or various other things, but that's just not true for all of America. So I do think the pandemic is going to be a catalyst, coronavirus, where you see all these game developers saying, holy crap, we have to have a contingency plan in place here to make sure we can make games and make sure our games play good online. Because of course, especially in this sort of equation, you can see where Smash Bros is not being offered an Evo spot. Excuse me, Evo spot, probably because it plays like crap online. And we've seen Tekken try to fix their online code, and Arc System Works. Excuse me, geez, burp is stuck in there. But you see Guilty Gear Double X, you see that as a bit of an experiment, and Arc System Works saying it's going back to put in rollback code in its stuff. And basically, unfortunately, you're seeing a lot of people just realizing too late that, hey, we do need to make sure that online is viable in our games. Moving on, a brand new version of Virtua Fighter 5 has been rated by the Korean Gaming Board. So that's Event Hub story. And that, unfortunately, may be the extent of the news that we were going to get from Virtua Fighter, because Sega was saying they had something exciting and esports related for it. Another news story here from Event Hubs. Pro Street Fighter 5 players are attempting a crazy challenge to get 11 game win streaks with 11 3 times and 24-hour punishment streams. So I think that can tell you how good this character is, which means he's not very good. Street Fighter 5's online tournament mode was supposed to launch a year ago, so where in the heck is it? Again, this is an Event Hub story, but this just goes to show how online is not being prioritized, and especially Street Fighter, where they've been going whole hog into esports. You would think they would be on that. New Anjimito and Aino Guilty Gear Strive gameplay trailers released at NGPX. That's an Event Hub story. Arc System Works exploring options to add rollback netcode in previous fighting games after positive feedback for Guilty Gear Strive and Accent Core. That's an Event Hub story. So, I mean, again, I talked about that a little bit, but the sort of the answer to that is no duh, they're going to do that. But Thanks for tuning in, Electrical Longboard. Uh, of course they're going to do that because you've got to prepare for a Corona world. Corona may never be gone. I mean, it might be handled within the next 2 years, but and even just to mention, Guilty Gear Accent Core, when they did that beta, I can't remember if it was the beta or the official release, but the Steam numbers shot up like crazy when they actually improved the netcode on that. So it makes sense, go to an old product, revamp it a little bit, and get the numbers up there. Moving on, we have an Event Hub story. Skullgirl's Annie balance update includes brand new moves for Eliza and Fortune, along with substantial mechanic changes. Another Event Hub story, Eustace announced for Grand Blue Fantasy Versus to release in April. Harada says that Law and King are apparently the most picked characters in Tekken 7. I always find this stuff sort of interesting, just trying to see if I can find some more context here. But, you may expect certain other characters to do it, but it's hard to say because I'm not in the Tekken stuff like that, but I imagine that your King players, your Law players, they're going to want to play as that character no matter what. And especially, and this is just me making a bit of an assumption, especially with King, you really have to play a lot to make something of this character. But yeah, moving on, Event Hub story. Guilty Gear Strive will likely receive a second open beta before its June release to help address the server and lobby issues of the first. And so again, this is just sort of strange where we went over earlier in the stream about how the characters weren't even complete that they were planning on releasing. Let's see. With Ino, they were going to show off her a bit, but her second super wasn't even done and the game was supposed to be released pretty soon here. So just really some sort of strange there, and hopefully Arc System Works can actually nail the landing here, because some of this stuff is starting to sound a little shaky. Although I guess in the grand scheme of things, I would much rather them communicate more than communicate less, and then we're left in a lurch wondering about things. Let's see. Liu Kang's actor, Ludi Len, played Mortal Kombat 2 religiously growing up, and he's more than ready to join a Street Fighter movie project. That's a little bit of a more of a interesting piece of news from Event Hubs than for any substantive reason. Samurai Showdown version 2.1 patch notes released, and this is a follow-up to, I believe, the 2.0, where they added Guard Crush, which apparently didn't do much because you're not doing too much guarding or crushing guards in Samurai Showdown. But it's been a long time since I touched that game. Harada wants to create an EVO-like mega fighting game tournament with other publishers like Capcom and SNK once offline events become safe. This is from Event Hubs. So I always find it pretty interesting how Harada is still talking about this stuff, even though he's technically no longer just a Tekken guy. I can't remember the exact position, but like, for instance, he's in charge of I think he's in charge of the next Tales game, or maybe that entire department, but I'm all for it, yeah. And so probably one of the more interesting stories here from Event Hubs Is Guilty Gear Strive Guilty Gear enough? In quotes. Top competitor Dogura believes that there's nothing to worry about due to the game's fast-paced nature. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that Guilty Gear Strive is a bit simpler than other Guilty Gears, whereas Guilty Gear, very, very, very high skill ceiling. And of course, I sort of talked about it earlier, but you see Arc System Works trying to make their games more accessible with one-button combos and Dragon Ball Fighters and different type of things. Part of Dogura's quote here. I believe if you're at the top level, then no matter how much they change things around, you should have the skill to adapt to those changes. It seems like he's happier that more people will be entering the fold. But I ended up watching Maximilian's. He sort of had a summary video for his impressions of the beta, and listening to Coffee and Combos, they sort of talked about how it was different from Xrd. So it'll be interesting to see. But so far, Arc System Works is pretty much batting 1,000. I'm not really sure what's going on with their Anime X Anime game, the cross tag. That seems like they really missed an opportunity to pivot from Dragon Ball Fighters into just like Shonen Jump, period. Smash Bros are just straight up fighting game, which I would have definitely jumped on. But other than that, they seem to be doing well. I mean, people were skeptical about Grand Blue, but that really turned out, as far as I know. Sakurai originally wanted the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 character, Pyrrha and Mithra, to be like ice climbers, but that was scrapped due to limitations brought to us by event hubs. Interesting, but I imagine that would be really, really overpowered, especially with how they were perceived, are being perceived as very powerful. Infinite versus 3D Mugen was pulled from Steam, so RIP, brought to us by Event Hubs. Phenom releases his first tier list for the newest version of Street Fighter V Champion Edition. Yeah, so S tier, and for those of you who have not watched this podcast before, we'll go over the top and the bottom because there's going to be way too much to go through in the middle, and that's usually a good way to split it up. At the top, S tier, you have Urian, Cammy, Abigail, Rashid, Minat, and Zeku. And at the bottom is Blanca and Nash. Nash hasn't really moved. Blanca, I could not give a flying crap about. I do think Abigail has resurged here, if I'm reading this correctly. Minat. Zeku has always been close up there, but not as much. But interesting to see tier lists, and as we'll probably go into, see how the different tier lists compare. Okay, right. So another Event Hub story here. Harada's Bar is a new video series from the Tekken director with Ken Kutaragi. So that is sort of interesting. And they are actually at a bar because you see them wearing masks and they're in the same room and everything like that. So we have an updated Topanga tier list for Street Fighter V 5th season. And this is sort of your Japanese collective of pros collaborated to make a tier list. People like Mago and Tokido. Yeah, but anyway, let's go over this. Okay, please don't do something obnoxious. Okay, here we go. Yeah, S tier, Abigail, Minat, Cammy, Rashid, Urian, Guile, and Karin. And in the D tier, Dan, Gil, Alex, and Nash. So some of the same names, some different names. Apparently, I still do not have to regret my decision for quitting Street Fighter V, but also not being willing to endure how bad Alex was. But yeah, that's interesting. Sakurai reaffirms that there are only two characters remaining for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's DLC. So only two left, people. Even though there's rumors there's more. That's brought to us by Event Hubs. Cham Cham and the Xbox Series X version of Samurai Showdown are now available to kick off Season 3, brought to us by Event Hubs. Sort of talked about it earlier, but Event Hubs goes over Guard Crush being added to Samurai Showdown. And we went over this a little bit too, but two Super Smash Bros. Organizations lift bans on Nairo. So we already heard about 2GG, but there's also Collision Gaming. So they say they processed the appeal. So both these companies process the appeal and they let him back in. Again, I don't have anything substantive. You know, is he guilty? Is he innocent? But there you go. Pyrrha and Mithra were among most used characters at Smash World Tour Mexico Online Qualifier Top 32. And you have Mr. Game & Watch and Rob at the absolute top with a bunch of characters at 0. But there was a lot of character variants. I won't go over 0 because that's too long a list. Street Fighter V's top 50 players of all time ranked by PG Stats. So this is another interesting one. They've taken multiple sources and calculated who's the best quote-unquote player. This is a video, so I won't be able to tell you who's number one, but there you go. You can check that out if you like to. We have an Event Hubs article about some tier lists, so let's see if we can pull up one. Oh, nope, this is a podcast, so we're not going into that. Did not know Event Hubs had a podcast, but anyway. Online Capcom Pro Tour has been announced, brought to us by Event Hubs, announced for 2021, new CPT costumes, character colors, stages, and more. Fujimura shares updated Street Fighter V tier list with help from two other Japanese heavy hitters. Johnny and Higuchi, not familiar, but you probably are, made this tier list. And in this tier list, you have Cammy, Urian, and Guile at S, Alex, Nash, and Dan at absolute bottom. Let's see. So supposedly the Samurai Showdown's Guilty Gear crossover character and remaining DLC character have been data mined. So supposedly the two characters we're waiting on are Baiken, which people are familiar with, and Amakusa, who was the OG boss of Samurai Showdown. Let's see. 29 characters appeared in the top 32 of Smash World Tour Oceania, with most of the top tiers absent from the upper bracket. And I think that just goes to show, that's brought to us by Event Hubs, I think that just goes to show how regionally it really can change. And not, you know, you get character specialists and things like that. It's not necessarily always about the top tiers, but it definitely can be. So top usage, we have Wolf, Roy, Rob, and Snake, and not much else there. But yeah. Never before seen Samurai Showdown prototype discovered after being left outside under a tree for 20 years, which sounds odd, but I can believe it. As we've come to see, game preservation is not really a thing that character companies rather end up thinking of until really now. Like you have the Strong Museum of Play, who's really behind that. I think we already talked about it, but Tekken 7 is at patch 4.1. Let's see, Cloud 805 constructs his latest Dragon Ball FighterZ tier list. Yeah, so D tier is Goku Black. I don't know if this is a troll or if they actually mean this, but Gotenks is above S tier. I'm not sure what that means, but there is a companion video if you'd like to check that out. S tier, you have OG Brawly, Android 21, Base Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Teen Gohan, Kid Buu, Ultra Instinct Goku, and Piccolo. And I wasn't going to read this, but the ranking made me chuckle. Right under that is Ginyu is a wild card. So there you go. Let's see. Thanks for tuning in. Twitch Growth Discord. Let's see. And something I talked about a little, but EVO is open for all platforms, even though it's currently only having Sony stuff. But the interesting thing about this is that Tekken 7 at EVO will be on PC. So that is an interesting wrinkle. I mean, we don't know more, but it doesn't make sense to make it a closed garden, especially with Harada trying to make other events and really other events just existing. Two-time EVO champion Arslan Ash celebrates engagement. That's an Event Hub story. Let's see. Well, there's a tweet. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think she's anybody that we would know, but there is a tweet if you'd like to check that out. So, anyway, congrats to him. Tekken 7 reportedly sold 7 million. Brought to us by Event Hubs. ESAM has a new tier list for Smash Bros. Ultimate. in this tier list. Jeez, this is a small image. Come on, zoom. Don't fail me now. All right, hopefully doesn't freak out. I'm gonna, okay, there we go. Hopefully audio's still working out. Uh, top tier is really long. Okay, here we go. Pikachu, Joker, Wolf, Peach, Shulk, Game & Watch, Pokemon Trainer, Snake, Palutena, Mario, Pura Mithra, uh, what is the game? Min Min, that's her name. Roy, being the Fire Emblem character, not the Bowser Jr. mode. Fox, Captain Falcon, Wario, Sephiroth, Zero Suit Samus, Minecraft Steve, Lucina, Pac-Man. They already put Pyrrha and Mithra, so I don't know why they put that again. But anyway, it's not my tier list. Rob, Inkling, Crom. Yeah, that's Crom. And Olimar. At the bottom, we have Dr. Mario, Ganondorf, and Little Mac. R.I.P. Little Mac. I mean, seriously, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to have a character who can't do anything in the air in a game that's called Smash Bros. Anyway, Tekken 7 producer warns that those caught playing Lydia Sobieska early through cheating could be banned. This is something we occasionally see, but it's unfortunate. That's brought to us by Event Hubs. Punk is changing gears until offline events return. Apparently, he doesn't have much motivation to continue with online events. So hopefully that changes. But it is what it is. I mean, there is a certain energy to being in a place, and even though I am very much a introvert and I'm completely fine with being at home, there are going to be people who aren't. Tekken 7 added an anti-cheat feature with the latest update that's brought to us by eventhubs.com. Project L is reportedly seeking playtesters from if Riot Games surveys have anything to indicate about that. Harada responded to fan question about potential Tekken Season 5 or Soul Calibur Season 3. And basically, he says he doesn't know. Especially, I'm not sure with COVID, that it's just really up in the air. But they planned it for it to be done. They planned for Soul Calibur to be done in Season 2. But obviously, they moved. Well, it might be Soul Calibur or it might be Tekken to end in Season 2. Either is reasonable. But games live longer, and that's good that they're really keeping it open. Xian and F-Champ put together their Street Fighter V Season 5 tier list, one of them stating that V-Shift killed command grab characters and all my characters. And in the S tier, you have Urian, Cammy, Rashid, Manat, Abigail, Akuma, Guile. And in the C tier at the bottom, you have Nash. So yeah, it's not much different in the bottoms and tops of these tier lists. Which means, unless there's some sort of mind game going on here, that it's not, nobody's really acting out of the ordinary or trying to pull a fast one. Again, going back to the Tekken discussion, Harada says you can't make a new fighting game for 10 million. So I'm wondering if he means that's too expensive or too little money. Okay, so he's saying that's too little. There's no fighting game that can be made for 1 billion yen. Supporting a game for multiple years gives developers a much better chance of turning a profit, which would explain Avengers. Hiyo. Uh, And again, at the Smash World Tour Central America South Online qualifier, you had some weird characters, with Palutena being absolutely most picked, Banjo Kazooie just below that. So, again, some real character variety there. That's one of the things I like to see most, even if I don't follow a game, is just to have character variety there. I remember with Killer Instinct, I was watching a tournament, and you had, I think it was Riptor, and just nobody plays Riptor, and the community is so small, so the two Riptor players didn't know how to fight each other, which is just beautiful in my eyes. Story that I'm sort of skeptical on. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite's tournament scene has been seeing impressive growth despite complications in the earlier years. Apparently, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has rollback netcode. Okay, I'll give it to them there. That is very important. There is a video on this. I definitely do not support Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That being said, it is dead now, so I don't know. Hopefully Capcom learned their lesson. Go 1 released a final tier list for Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 3 with an English description. This is over on Event Hubs. And top is Gotenks, like that other tier list we just talked about. And bottom is Goku Black, Zamasu, Super Saiyan Goku. And just because top tier was a little bit short, we'll go to the next highest tier, which is S+. You have Super Baby 2, Ultra Instinct Goku, OG Broly, Master Roshi, Base Vegeta, Teen Gohan, Base Goku, Bardock, Kid Goku, Captain Ginyu, Android 21, Hit, Android 18, Android 17, Fat Boo, Jiren, Kid Boo, and I always forget who it is, but it's Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. It's one of the transformations, and Kefla. So interesting to see, but yeah, apparently, like Nash, Goku Black is just not going to do anything anytime soon. Okay, cool. And so we already went over that the fact that we're getting a second beta for Guilty Gear Strive, but Event Hubs tells us that apparently early access features will be expanded. Okay, so the entirety of Guilty Gear Strive's offerings will be available to all early access members. So, just important information to keep in mind. Especially since if you are early access, you're able to play like 3 days early. Another Event Hub story. So, new player conduct guidelines for social media harassment and community image added to Capcom Pro Tour rules. something sorely needed. I know a lot of people sort of flailing their arms in this situation where we have all this Me Too movement and the Smash community and things like that. But this is how you handle it. New player conduct rules. I'm not really going to go over them, but it makes sense. You've got to be more careful, and you have to realize what happens in EVO on the what happens in the Capcom Online Pro Tour does not stay there. Samurai Showdown released patch 2.12. Problem X released his Street Fighter V tier list, Season 5 tier list, brought to us by Event Hubs. At the top, Kami, Karin, Colin, Balrog, Rashid, that's Balrog Boxer, and Akuma. At the bottom, Zangief, Blanca, Gil, and Nash. So a little bit of variance there. I don't really think I've ever seen Colin rated high, ever. Dead or Alive director Yohei Shimbori leaves Koei Tecmo. Not that they've had much to do with fighting. Apparently he was there for quite a while. Dead or Alive Ultimate, Dead or Alive 4, Dead or Alive Extreme 2. Fighting EX Layer Another Dash announced for April release in free and paid versions with hits to the graphics. To get it running on Nintendo Switch, brought to us by Event Hubs. What is the free version? What does that mean? Okay, there's a free, like demo-ish version. That's what that means. Okay, got it. Right, so that's about it for our news here. We will go very lightly into some tournaments. Thanks for tuning in. Go with him. Let's see. Let's put our stream marker timestamp there. All right, we have our tournament section here. We had the We Play Ultimate Fighting League. So Jinx.tv has a schedule and stuff up there, and a full Soul Calibur 6 roster for Season 1. Sonic Fox defeated Tekken Master, winning We Play Ultimate Fighting League Season 1 from .esports. Super Smash Bros. Melee Summit Champions Season 2 Week 1 lineup revealed on .esports. Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour happened, so check that out if that's something you're interested in. That's brought to us by Jinx.tv and Event Hubs. We Play partners with DAZN to stream Ultimate Fighting League on its own platform. That's brought to us by .esports. We Play Ultimate Fighting League Season 1 features Sonic Fox, Dragon, Mortal Kombat top players. Capcom Pro Tour set to run with 32 online events. New CPT. It's already went over that kind of. New CPT DLC. Smash World Tour South America Online Qualifier that happened or is happening, so check that out. Topanga League X Tekken Season 3 results are up on eventhubs.com. Smash World Tour Mexico Online qualifier results up on eventhubs.com. Smash World Tour Oceania online qualifier results up on eventhubs.com. The Urban Gauntlet, I've never heard of this. I think the picture is showing that it's Killer Instinct. Nope, it's Marvel. It's Marvel 3 rather. Urban Gauntlet is up on eventhubs.com. I might have been conflating the two. The Lockout I've never heard of. This was Killer Instinct. The results for that are up on eventhubs.com. Smash World Tour Central America South Online qualifier results up on eventhubs.com. We Play Ultimate Fighting League Season 1 Mortal Kombat results. We sort of went over that, but that's up on eventhubs.com. Winter Clash 2021 results up on eventhubs.com. And that's it. As always, thanks for tuning in, folks. This is a monthly podcast on the first Saturday every month. I know it's Sunday, but stuff happened. One Punch Combo. This is one of two podcasts. But we talk about fighting games and fighting game news, a little bit of tournament results, and we have a weekly podcast also on this channel, which is filler episode, an anime and manga podcast where we go over anime, manga. Sometimes we have reviews on there when I have time, and that's a weekly podcast on Saturdays. As always, thanks for tuning in.